The text message came at 6:47 a.m. on a Wednesday from a number I didn't recognize. Ms. Noah Hayes? This is Special Agent Catherine Sterling, FBI White Collar Crime Division. We need to speak urgently regarding Richard Brennan and fraudulent probate proceedings. Please call immediately. This concerns your safety and legal identity. I stared at the message for a full minute before my brain processed the name. Noah Hayes. That wasn't my name. My name was Sarah Brennan. I was 33 years old, an accountant at a mid-sized firm in Portland, and Richard Brennan was my father. Except the message said otherwise. I called the number. Agent Sterling answered immediately. Ms. Hayes, thank you for calling back. Are you currently safe? Is Richard Brennan aware of your location? I don't understand what's happening. My name is Sarah Brennan. Richard is my father. No, he's not. Agent Sterling's voice was calm but firm. Your birth name is Noah Hayes. You were abducted from a hospital in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1991 when you were 6 months old. Richard Brennan has been raising you under a false identity for 32 years. Yesterday he filed documents with probate court claiming you died in 1991 and requesting dissolution of a $2.8 million trust established in your name. We need to meet. Now. My apartment tilted. I sat down hard on my kitchen floor. That's impossible. I'm sending you a photo. Look at it and call me back. My phone buzzed. A scanned image appeared, a missing child poster from 1991. Abducted, Noah Hayes, 6 months old. Last seen Oklahoma Children's Hospital, February 14, 1991. Brown hair, brown eyes. If you have any information. The baby in the photo could have been any baby. But beside it was a photo of two people. A young couple, maybe mid-20s, holding the infant. The woman had my exact face. Same nose, same mouth, same slightly crooked smile. I called Agent Sterling back. Where are you? I whispered. I'm 20 minutes from your apartment. Stay inside. Lock your doors. Don't contact Richard Brennan. We're getting a warrant for his arrest. She arrived at 7:34 a.m. with another agent. A man in his 40s who introduced himself as Agent Marcus Reed. They showed me badges, sat at my kitchen table and laid out a file that destroyed my entire understanding of reality. Your biological parents are Catherine and William Hayes, Agent Sterling began. William Hayes owns Hayes Oil, a petroleum company worth approximately $400 million. You were their only child. On February 14, 1991, you were hospitalized for a routine checkup. Richard Brennan was working as a hospital orderly. Security footage from that day shows him leaving the hospital carrying an infant in a bag. You disappeared. The case went cold. How did you find me? Ancestry DNA. You submitted a test 8 months ago, correct? I had. A coworker had convinced me to do it during a company wellness challenge. I'd forgotten about it completely. Your DNA matched Catherine Hayes. She's been running searches on every genealogy database for 32 years, hoping you'd appear. When the match came through 6 months ago, she contacted us immediately. We've been building a case against Richard Brennan since then. Agent Reed opened a laptop and pulled up a series of documents. Richard has been preparing to fake your death for at least 2 years. He's been establishing a paper trail, medical records claiming you had a terminal illness, witness statements from people who claim to have seen you deteriorate, and finally, yesterday, a death certificate. Why would he do this? Money. When you were abducted, your parents established a $2.8 million trust in your name. If you were ever found, the money would transfer to you immediately. If you were declared legally dead, the money would go to next of kin, which Richard has been claiming is him as your adoptive father. But he's not my adoptive father. He abducted me. Correct. Which makes this wire fraud, identity theft, kidnapping, and attempted theft from a trust. Federal crimes. Agent Sterling's expression was hard. Richard filed the death declaration yesterday at 2 p.m. He had 3 witnesses testify that they'd seen you decline from cancer and eventually die. He brought a falsified death certificate. He was planning to collect the trust money and disappear. Where is he now? We arrested him at 6:15 a.m. He's in federal custody. We wanted to notify you before he could contact you or create any additional false documentation. My hands were shaking. I've lived with him for 33 years. How is this possible? Someone would have noticed. Someone would have said something. Richard moved constantly when you were young. 7 different cities in 10 years. He homeschooled you until high school. He kept you isolated. By the time you were old enough to question things, you'd been Sarah Brennan your entire conscious life. You had no reason to doubt him. Agent Reed turned the laptop toward me. We need to show you something. It's the probate hearing from yesterday. We recorded it. The video showed a courtroom. Richard stood at a table wearing a suit I'd never seen before, looking somber. Next to him was an attorney and 3 people I didn't recognize. The judge spoke. Mr. Brennan, you're petitioning for dissolution of the Noah Hayes Trust based on the death of your adopted daughter, Sarah Brennan, formerly known as Noah Hayes? Yes, Your Honor. Richard's voice was steady, practiced. My daughter passed away 6 weeks ago after a 2-year battle with cancer. It's been devastating for our family. I have the death certificate here. The judge examined a document. Cause of death listed as metastatic breast cancer. Age 33. Yes, Your Honor. Sarah was incredibly brave throughout her illness. I was with her at the end. One of the witnesses stood, a middle-aged woman I'd never seen in my life. Your Honor, I'm Dr. Margaret Willis. I treated Sarah Brennan for the last 18 months of her life. I can confirm that she passed peacefully in hospice care on August 3rd. I stared at the screen. I don't know that woman. I've never had cancer. I was at work on August 3rd. Dr. Willis is an actress, Agent Sterling said. Richard paid her $15,000 to pose as your physician. The other 2 witnesses are also paid actors. The death certificate is forged. Richard spent approximately $45,000 setting up this fraud. The video continued. The judge asked a few more questions, then signed documents. The Noah Hayes Trust is hereby dissolved. Assets totaling $2.8 million will transfer to Richard Brennan as legal guardian and sole surviving family member. Agent Reed paused the video. That transfer was set to happen this morning at 9 a.m. We intervened at 6:15 a.m. I couldn't process it. Couldn't integrate this information with the man who'd raised me, who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd helped me with homework, who'd attended my college graduation. What happens now? I asked. Now we prove who you really are, Agent Sterling said. We need you to do a formal DNA test. The legal kind, not the ancestry kind. We'll compare it to Catherine and William Hayes. Once we confirm the match, your legal identity is restored. You become Noah Hayes again. And Richard Brennan goes to prison for a very long time. At 10:23 a.m., I was in a federal building having blood drawn for DNA analysis. Agent Sterling sat with me the entire time. How long until results? Expedited? 3 days. Your parents have been waiting 32 years. We're not making them wait any longer than necessary. My parents. The words felt foreign. Do they know? That you found me? We told them this morning. After we arrested Richard. Catherine collapsed. William started crying. They've been trying to find you since 1991. They never gave up. Something in my chest cracked open. What do I say to them? Whatever feels right. There's no script for this. At 2:47 p.m. Agent Reed called. We searched Richard's apartment. Found documentation on a laptop. Spreadsheets calculating trust payout timelines, emails with the fake witnesses coordinating testimony, and drafts of the death certificate going back 18 months. He's been planning this for years. Why now? Why not when I was younger? The trust had a clause. Funds couldn't be distributed until you turned 30. You turned 33 in March. He waited until the trust was fully mature and then declared you dead. Maximize the payout. I felt sick. He watched me turn 30 and started planning my fake death. Yes. At 6:15 p.m., Catherine Hayes called me. Agent Sterling had given her my number. Noah. Her voice broke on the name. Is it really you? I started crying. I don't know. I've been Sarah my whole life. I don't know how to be Noah. You don't have to be anyone but yourself. I've been looking for you for so long. I never stopped. Not for one day. We talked for 47 minutes. She told me about the day I was born, about the 6 months she'd had with me, about the moment she realized I was gone. She told me about the thousands of tips they'd followed, the false sightings, the hope that kept dying and reigniting. We never had another child, she said quietly. We couldn't. You were everything. And when you were gone, we just kept looking. I'm sorry, I whispered. Don't apologize. You have nothing to apologize for. This isn't your fault. None of this is your fault. The DNA results came back on Friday. 99.9% match to Catherine and William Hayes. I was legally declared Noah Hayes' abducted child, restored to my biological family. Richard's trial was set for November. Federal charges: kidnapping, wire fraud, identity theft, attempted theft from a trust, falsifying government documents, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Combined, he was looking at 45 years in federal prison. I met my biological parents on Saturday. They flew to Portland immediately after the DNA confirmation. We met at a private room Agent Sterling had arranged. Neutral territory, no pressure. Catherine looked exactly like me. Same hair, same eyes, same hands. She walked toward me and stopped 3 feet away, tears streaming down her face. "Can I hug you?" she asked. I nodded. He held me like I might disappear again. William stood behind her, crying silently. When Catherine finally let go, he hugged me too. "We have so many questions," William said. "But we don't want to overwhelm you. We just want to know you're safe." "I'm safe." "Did he hurt you?" Catherine's voice was fierce, protective. "Richard, did he hurt you?" "Not physically. He was distant. Controlling. He homeschooled me, moved us constantly, never let me get close to anyone. I thought it was normal." "It wasn't normal," William said. "He stole you. He stole 32 years from all of us." We talked for 3 hours. They showed me photos, the nursery they'd prepared, the toys they'd bought, the baby clothes they'd kept. They told me about Hayes Oil, about the life I would have had, about the family that had been waiting for me. "The trust," I said finally. "The $2.8 million. Richard tried to steal it." "We don't care about the money," Catherine said immediately. "We care about you. The trust was created to support you if you were ever found. It's yours. All of it." "What about Hayes Oil?" William and Catherine exchanged glances. "You're our only child," William said carefully. "Eventually everything will be yours. But that's not why we've been looking for you. We've been looking because we love you. We've loved you every single day for 32 years. The revelation crashed over me in waves over the following weeks. Richard had stolen me from a family worth $400 million. He'd raised me in poverty, moving from city to city, working low-wage jobs, telling me we couldn't afford things because money was tight. All while my biological parents had been spending millions searching for me. All while a $2.8 million trust sat waiting for me to be found. All while he planned to fake my death and take everything. Agent Sterling called with updates. Richard's attorney is trying to negotiate a plea deal. Claims Richard was mentally ill, that he'd lost his own daughter and you were a replacement. That's a lie. We know. Records show Richard never had children. Never married. He was a hospital orderly with gambling debts and a criminal record for fraud. He took you because he saw an opportunity. Richard's trial began in November. I attended every day, sitting in the gallery between Catherine and William. Richard wouldn't look at me. He stared straight ahead while prosecutors outlined 32 years of fraud, manipulation, and theft. The fake witnesses testified. Dr. Margaret Willis admitted Richard had paid her $15,000 to pretend to be my doctor. She'd never met me. The death certificate was forged by someone Richard had contacted on the dark web. The trust documents were presented. The $2.8 million that Richard had tried to claim. The probate filing declaring me dead. Catherine testified. She described February 14, 1991, the day her 6-month-old daughter disappeared from a hospital. She described 32 years of searching. She described the phone call from the FBI saying I'd been found. "What did you feel?" the prosecutor asked. "Relief. Joy. Rage that someone had stolen 32 years we could have had together." William testified too. He described hiring private investigators, following false leads, never giving up hope. He described the ancestry DNA match the moment they knew I was alive. I testified last. I described growing up as Sarah Brennan. The isolation, the constant moving, the feeling that something was always slightly wrong but not being able to name it. I described finding out I'd been abducted. Learning my real name. Meeting my real parents. "Did Richard ever tell you that you were adopted?" the prosecutor asked. "No. He told me my mother died in childbirth." He said it was just the two of us. Did he ever mention the Hayes family? Never. Did you know about the $2.8 million trust? Not until the FBI told me. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Richard was sentenced to 45 years in federal prison. He'd be 91 when he was released if he lived that long. The judge addressed him directly. Mr. Brennan, you stole a child. You stole a life. You attempted to profit from that theft by faking the death of a woman you'd already stolen everything from. This court finds your actions reprehensible. You'll spend the rest of your natural life paying for what you've done. Richard looked at me then. Finally. His expression was empty. Not remorseful. Just empty. I felt nothing looking back at him. No anger, no sadness. Just a quiet certainty that this chapter was over. 1 year later, I legally changed my name to Noah Sarah Hayes. Sarah because it was the name I'd known for 32 years. Noah because it was who I'd always been even when I didn't know it. I moved to Tulsa. Started working for Hayes Oil in the finance department. Not because I was the heir but because I had an accounting degree and I was good at it. Catherine and William gave me space to adjust, to learn who I was in this new context. The $2.8 million trust transferred to me. I put most of it in investments and used some to buy a house near my parents. My real parents. I go to therapy twice a week. Processing 32 years of stolen identity isn't something you do quickly. Catherine and I have dinner every Sunday. William teaches me about the family business. They're patient, careful, never pushing too hard. Sometimes I still think of myself as Sarah. Sometimes I wake up and forget that Richard is in prison, that my life isn't what I thought it was. But mostly I think about the woman who never stopped searching. Who ran DNA tests on every database for 32 years. Who hoped when hope seemed impossible. Catherine planted a garden outside my new house. We work in it together on weekends, planting flowers and vegetables, our hands in the same soil. I missed this, she said once. Doing ordinary things together. We'll have time now, I told her. We have all the time in the world. And for the first time in my life that felt true.